Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final heat of Robot Wars Battle of the YouTubers. And today, for this heat, it's a turn of my friend RoboKnight TV with his assortment of robots. I don't know what their theme is, but I'm looking forward to seeing who they are, what they are, and what they can do, and which one will be joining our 7 victors in the grand finals for the ultimate showdown. So without further ado, let's check out the battle board and see how our final heat lines up. Gladiatorial bot Marauder hoping to take out the Boxer of Punch, the Flipper of Mojave hoping to take out the Flipper of Lev 2, the spinning body shell of Hurricane hoping to take out the axe bulldozing blade of Snowdozer, and the American's Frenzy hoping to knock out Iron Ore. Marauder Spinner. A very tough gladiator with a deadly spinning blade that can be brought forward to damage the opposition and send them home in a bin bag. The front wedge can be used to help get underneath to make the weapon more effective and help push back. The only real issue I see for this machine is the lack of a stream mech. Might be a problem. Punch! Rambot! Coming in with a boxing glove with the big metal spike coming out to seriously puncture the armor of the opposition. The wheels are big enough to allow the machine to run both ways up, so being flipped isn't really going to affect it all that much, although I feel like the exposed wheels might prove to be a problem.
Roboteers, stand by.
Marauder with the axe spinning blade and the front wedge, and Punch with the boxing glove, armed with a spike.
3, 2, 1.
Who will be... Well, there goes the weapon. Coming down, not spinning though. Now it's spinning and throwing Punch up and over. So the blade of Marauder definitely doing something. Definitely there! Off comes the weapon to Punch. Now Punch, well, still with the... What the... What just... Okay, Punch comes in here to ram, and then the glove just... What? Okay, then. What was that? I have no clue what that was. That's completely taken me out of the fight. Let's try and get back into it. Punch. On the aggressive, ramming Marauder, but they've lost the wheel. And that's definitely caused problems in the drive. And I don't think Punch are able to move freely now. Not as they could before. They're immobilized. And Marauder about to finish Punch off. There's nothing left for Punch to do, really. And here, well, they can still maneuver. So, there's that at least. But now, I don't think Punch can keep it up forever. And here comes Marauder with the finishing push. And down the pit. And that is the end of Punch. Well done, Marauder. A very good victory, even if a slight scare at the start. What was that boxing glove doing? It had a mind of its own. Well done, Marauder. Man, that glove's gonna have me going for the rest of the day now, I think. Anyway, Marauder through. Next up, Mojave and Lev 2. Mojave! Flipper! Why do you guys have boggle armor? Did you think it would help keep the weight down and make your machine lighter? Well, it might be good. The Flipper definitely has some serious power thanks to the CO2 canisters, and the front wedge seems very strong and looks like it can withstand attacks from spinners. But I feel like the lack of armor is going to be an issue. Lev 2 Flipper. The low wedge and 5mm aluminium armor definitely seem like it'll give good protection, as does the CO2 Flipper to toss their enemies into the air. Don't ask me what those tower things are, because I haven't a single clue. I think if anything, however, the only real issue for the machine are the sides, as they are not as well protected as the rest of the machine.
Roboteers, stand by.
Mojave with the CO2 powered flipper and the lack of armor, and Lev 2 with their own flipper, and probably the lack of any real protection for the side, although they're up against a flipper, so that won't really cause them any issues. At least one would hope. I think if anything, Mojave will be the one with real issues, especially if their front is higher off the ground than Lev 2's, so Mojave needs to get around the side of Lev 2 and get underneath them better, but they're struggling here, and there's Lev 2 throwing them over, but the high-powered flipper for Mojave definitely saving them, but they're not able to get underneath Lev 2, which is a bit of a surprise. I was expecting Mojave to be stuck on their side, but I'll be honest, from the look of Mojave's front, I expected Mojave to be, well, actually I expected Mojave to be more on top, but right now it's Lev 2 doing all the work here. Mojave struggling to come back into this now underneath, and they let go and nearly threw themselves down the pit. Mojave. Lev 2 definitely has this fight, I think, for now, and probably will do after this push down the pit. That's the end of Mojave. Lev 2 also in there, but Mojave first to hit the pit. And it's Lev 2 who will be progressing through. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting Lev 2 to really do as well as they did, but actually I was expecting Mojave to get at least a proper flip or two, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Lev 2 go through. And commiserations to Mojave. I feel shame for them, they're sadly out of it. Next up, Hurricane and Snowdozer. Hurricane Spinner! Quite an interesting build, this. Looks similar to Barbarous, actually. The two giant exposed wheels to grant the drive, while the body and electronics are protected by the big spinning drum body. The spikes by the wheels not only give extra weaponry, but also help make controlling this machine easier. Be interesting seeing this machine in action. Snowdozer! Axebot! A very tough front plow that provides great pushing power and also allows their axe to come in and do some serious damage, and there is also a bit of a small plow at the rear. The two giant wheels, which don't really have much protection as they are very exposed, are helpful for providing very good drive, although they won't really help when they're flipped up and over as they cannot self-right.
Robot ears, stand by.
Hurricane, looking a little bit like Barbarous, to be perfectly honest with you. And Snowdozer, with actually looking like a proto-version of the house robot Shunt.
3, 2, 1.
So who will be more effective? Well, the front plow of Snowdozer definitely coming in on Hurricane and definitely causing problems. It's not letting that blade of Hurricane's do anything. And right now, it's all Snowdozer. The axe is now stopped, and Hurricane trying to move away here. Now, Hurricane seems to be pinned in, and Snowdozer can't pin them in there because, I mean, otherwise they will be disqualified. Although, I think there's something wrong here with Snowdozer. There's no movement, and I think Snowdozer have become immobilized. Well, that's a worry and quite the shame. They were doing very well at the start, completely controlling Hurricane, and now comes the axe thanks to Hurricane. Hurricane, I think I've just nabbed this from Snowdozer completely breaking down. There's no movement coming from Snowdozer. And what a shame, they were doing very well, but it's Snowdozer who are out. And Hurricane gets a very lucky win. Although, if Snowdozer had kept them against the wall, then Snowdozer definitely would have been disqualified, since there was still life, a lot of life in Hurricane. Poor Snowdozer, what happened? There must have been a problem with the electronics. They were robbed, and it's Hurricane who progresses through. Again, like I said, Snowdozer were robbed of that victory. They should have gotten it, but they didn't, unfortunately. Next up, Frenzy and Iron Ore. Frenzy. Axebot. A classic from BattleBots with the Tenderizer Hammer, which not only does serious damage, but also helps the machine self-right. The high ground clearance is going to be a bit of an issue for the team, however, as a low enough wedge can take advantage. And the armor isn't exactly all that strong, either. Iron Ore. Flipper Axebot. Tough armor on this machine, the CO2-powered flip will cause serious issues for anyone unfortunate to end up on it, and will be even more unlucky if the axe comes down. The only real issue for the Grims and their machine is that the machine is very flippable.
Robot ears, stand by.
Frenzy, with the tenderizing weapon, and Iron Ore with the CO2-powered flipper and the axe combination.
3,
A few times in Robot
2,
Combat, actually.
1.
But Frenzy are gonna be in problems because there's a high ground clearance, and Iron Ore will take advantage, and already on fire, and are in serious trouble, being battered and bashed by the Flipper Axe combination. Iron Ore, they're on the air. What have you? The wheels on the air. Well, okay, down the pit goes Iron Ore. Well done. They've thrown themselves in. Look at this. There's the flip, and they've thrown themselves over into the pit of oblivion. Well done. But look at this, Frenzy on fire, and I'm being told that Frenzy are immobilized. Iron Ore, the winners. Hard luck to Frenzy. They didn't really get going, did they? Iron Ore were all over them from the start. But this is how the second round lines up, with Iron Ore up against Hurricane later on. But first up, it's Marauder and Lev 2.
Robot ears, stand by.
Marauder with the spinning axe head blade, and Lev 2, a bit of a surprise package to me, with the CO2 flipper. And now the exposed side will prove to be a problem, because don't forget what I just said a second ago, Marauder has a spinning blade, and they've mistimed the flipper! That's poor! And they nearly went over Marauder knowing how to use that blade. Bringing it back. That blade, very interesting, because it can also help defend the backside as well as the front with the scoop. And Lev 2 able to still get underneath. I should point out, Marauder's heavier than Lev 2, so was Mojave. Yet Lev 2 still able to throw Mojave, and definitely still able to pressurize Marauder. So, respect and props due to Lev 2, who are now stuck on the spike, and now Marauder can come in to do some damage, but I don't think it was enough to do anything significant or major. That now Lev 2 on top of Marauder and trying to push Marauder towards the pit. Marauder aware of this and leading them into the pit of oblivion, and that's great tactics for Marauder. Look at this, pushing, and turning in, and that's the end of Lev 2 down the pit of oblivion. And a good run, I should say, comes to an end. Well done, Marauder, going through, spinning in the light. Marvelous. And it's back to the drawing board for Lev 2 for next time. Out for them, Marauders do. Next up, Hurricane and Iron Ore.
Robot ears, stand by.
Hurricane with the spinning body shell, which just managed to beat Snowdozer due to it breaking down, and Iron Ore, who destroyed Frenzy in about, I don't know, couple seconds.
3, 2, 1.
Wonder how it'll do against Hurricane. Well, flip, axe, and flip, axe again. Nope, flip again, and now out the arena! And that's the end of Hurricane in 10 seconds! And that was very, very fast, very quick win for Iron Ore. Didn't take them... Well, that was over in a trice. That's the end of Hurricane. They're out. So Iron Ore through to the grand finals of the heat to face Marauder. That's all I can say. Over in a trice, really, for Hurricane. They're gone. Iron Ore heads through to face Marauder, and it'll be a spinner flipper contest for tonight's heat final. The heat final, our last two standing machines, Marauder and Iron Ore. Let's see how they got here. This was Marauder against Punch. Off came the weapon. Punch actually gave a bit of hard time towards Marauder, managed to get underneath and push them. This was where everything changed. Off came the wheel of the Punch. That disrupted the drive. They couldn't move properly. And then one last push down into the pit. And that was the end for Punch, with Marauder going through. To fight Lev 2, where they had good push and a lot more control. Did a bit more. They had a little bit of worry around here, but still had great control, especially to get around and just lead them straight down into the pit of Oblivion. Iron Ore, on the other hand, didn't have to try hard at all. This was a fight against Frenzy, destroying them and setting them on fire. They tried to get them out the arena, but they couldn't. Wrong angle. But they managed to fire the weapon and throw themselves in the pit. I think they tried to self-right out the pit as well, but to no avail. And then a 10-second fight with Hurricane, which ended about here. Over and out of the arena. And that was the last we ever saw of Hurricane.
Robot ears, stand by.
Marauder with the overhead spinning blade and the low front wedge. And Iron Ore with the CO2 powered flipper and the axe combination.
3, 2, 1.
Who will be progressing through to the heat? Well, who will be progressing to the grand finals? And already there's fire from Marauder, and I think it's safe to say who's going through. It's Iron Ore treating Marauder like a little bit of a play toy. Over and out. That's the end of Marauder out the arena, and a very quick and efficient victory for Iron Ore. Once again, you can see something on the floor of Marauder smoking there. Well done to Iron Ore. They progress and take up the last place in the grand finals. And with that, our heats are done and our lineup for the grand finals is complete. Our 8 YouTubers have selected their machines, well, have qualified, anyways. And now, for the ultimate fight to see who is the ultimate YouTuber next week. But for now, they say it never rains, but it always pours. For we reign supreme on Robot Wars. Bye-bye.